Good morning. It rained again. Had another 3/10 overnight, so we're up to like 6-7 tenths over the past 2 days, which is good. That means I'm officially calling it, we are done irrigating this year. Done. So that's another thing to do on the list, though, that we can now start getting that stuff picked up and brought home. It's too wet up there today to really do anything, but we got to get the generator brought out of there. We got to get the pipe broken apart and picked up and pump pulled and all that stuff. So we'll get to that. Today, however, since it's too wet to do our cover crop stuff, combine has become priority. So I'm going to get my concaves, bring them back out here, throw them in the combine, and then we're going to get this grain cart hooked back up to the tractor and pulled out of here. We're going to back the bean head in and get that hooked up and see what all we need to get to make that running well. I think I need to replace some draper belts is what I'm thinking. So that's my plan. I'm going to go get my concaves. Okay, so here's our concaves that have got to go back in right there underneath the rotor. These are an aftermarket. They're Condex KX7s. We've talked about these before, but if you're new to the channel, that's what we run. Ran them last year, and yeah, we've had our issues, but they took care of us and fixed it. You see, we've got a lot of new boxes in here that we had some stuff bend on it, but they took care of us, got it made right. So we're gonna put these back in. Now, I did talk to the rep from Condex, and he recommended that we run this one in the front. So this one's got the lip, and it's this different style. This is what they call a max thresh, and then a round bar, and then another max thresh, and then the round bars throughout the back. So that's how we're going to put them back in. Last year, I just ran the one max thresh for corn and beans, and the rest of them were all round bar. But he recommended leaving this one in there that way as well. So that's how we're gonna do it, and we just got to get them slid in there and put it in place. There's the first one in. It just kind of sits in there for right now. There's a plate then that bolts on to here. It'll run all across all of them. So when we get the rest of them in, we'll put that in, and then I'll show you the other side in a minute. So then over here on this side, there's this bar, and they kind of fit in there, and then there's a pin that goes up in through there. So once we'll put all those in once we get them all in place so that we can still slide them around and move them if we need to. Well, I wouldn't call that easy, but it's easier than the OEM concaves because they're half as wide, so they're half as heavy. But yeah, I got them in. I would put these clips in just like that one is, and the rest of them, and then we got to put our bracket on the other side, bolt them all to it. Here is the bracket on the other side. We got to tighten up all these bolts, but yeah, then they're pretty well in there, and we are good to go. So these arms here that bolt are attached to this bracket, they're on this bar here, which pivots via this motor, and that's how you adjust the clearance between these concaves and the rotor in there that spins around really fast to change how the combine is threshing, I guess. And they just kind of pivot on that bar on the other side that they attach to. So that's how that works. And yeah, should be just about good to go here. We'll get our bolts tightened up and put the covers back on. Oh yeah, remember last week when I kicked that battery disconnect on the 9R and I didn't know what it was? Well, this is what the battery disconnect on a combine looks like. So nothing even remotely close to what that one on the 9R is. That's why I didn't put the 2 and 2 together there. Just FYI. All right. Well, I closed this, so you'll see that these are rotated up much farther now. It pulled up those concaves, so now we can pull this cardboard out. Which, by the way, this is a very important step. Remove the cardboard that you put in. May or may not have forgot to do that one time quite a number of years ago and ran most of the fall with a piece of cardboard in there. It does not help combine performance. But now I have video evidence that I took it out. It's over there. So I think, oh yeah, one more thing that we need to do here before we're done. You see there's a hole right there in the sides of these. We need to put a few bolts in and bolt these sections together. Probably one there, one here, and one there. Every other one. Just to help give them a little bit more strength so they don't bend and twist, because up here, with the original concaves, there's a bolt on one side and the other side of one concave. With these half-width ones, it's only on this one side. So we bolt these two together to keep it from flexing and separating up here. So we'll do that, and then we'll be done. Spent a little bit more time updating a seed order and working on some stuff on the computer there. I've got more stuff that I've got to do. I hate doing computer work in the summer and when I can be out doing other stuff, but sometimes it's got to be done. So I'm going to have to spend a little bit of time doing that stuff this week. But anyway, it's lunchtime now. I'm going to go eat, and when we get back this afternoon, we'll get that bean head hooked up. I just got back from lunch. Look at this. That helicopter has just been circling for like 5 or 10 minutes. I don't know what it is. Strange. Well, anyway, we won't worry about that. We've got to get a bean head hooked up here. Which means we've got to get a grain cart hooked up. And that has to happen because we had to unhook this tractor to pull that out when he got stuck. So we'll get her hooked back up and get that out of here for right now. Yep, that'll work. That should do it. Are we lined up? Oh yeah, maybe even a little too far. Cool. Cool, cool. We got some wheat to pick out under there. Stuff was growing because it's been sitting outside, which is what it is. So, okay, we're gonna get her hooked up to the combine. Oh, awesome. Even started. Got it. I'm gonna hook up the hydraulic connector so that I can raise the reel up and out of the way. Like that. All right, I think that's all we need to do from the combine here. We gotta get out and take a look at some stuff, figure out what parts we need to get. Okay, so we're not doing knife sections. We did those before wheat harvest. These two draper belts I replaced a year ago, so they're good. However, this center one, this side of it looks okay, but there are some holes in it. And these ones here, it's starting to come apart here. And it's ripped, and I have a feeling, better safe than sorry, we probably should replace those before they get bad. And this one's kind of peeling apart on these cleats. So these two I think are going to get replaced along with the center one. And then we've got stuff like this that's going to need replaced. This one. So we kind of got to take some stuff apart and see what we need to do. Get some parts ordered. I'm getting a little bit of stuff taken apart here for getting these draper belts off. Yeah, that pile of parts. And then down here, and you can see how these work in the center here. We've got these rollers where there's a split in the belts. This piece here kind of wears and rubs. On the shiny piece, there is quite a lot of wear there. I think at least this one, if not both of those, is going to need to be replaced. So that's kind of what I wanted to do, was get it apart to see what all do we need to get. So I believe this belt should come out of there, about like that. That support through the center should come out, and then that belt will actually slide right off the end of those. I gotta take this bolt out and this bolt out and get this piece off so that it'll slide off the end of them rollers, but we don't have to take that all apart, so they're not so bad to change. It's not as big a job as you would initially think. You know, sometimes I feel like I do a pretty good job knowing how to work on stuff, what I'm doing. I mean, I've gotten it this far. I've gotten it apart. I'm trying to figure out how to get this belt out. I've got the center supports out. And then it occurs to me, you know what would help? If you let all the tension off the belt first. Sometimes I do okay. And then every now and then, it's just like I've never worked on anything in my life. How dumb can you be, right? So, we're gonna let the tension off of it. Then it'll come out a lot easier. Yeah, that was the trick. Finally getting somewhere here. Probably not gonna get this one-handed now, but we are making progress. Get this side some. There. Anybody need a slightly used big rubber belt? There's the part number. Right there. So we can use that to find ourselves a new one. We're not going to buy it from John Deere because, well, quite frankly, John Deere's are expensive. And I can get a better one, cheaper, from somewhere else. I don't know what you guys think. Was this cut and tear here justify replacing this? How long did I have before that ripped the belt in half? You can see this edge is kind of tattered up all along there. I don't know. Maybe it's not terrible, but it has run for 6 years and I've never replaced it, and I think it's time. That rip scares me. You can see without the draper belts on here, there's just not a whole lot to these. There's, you know, those supports that go across in here to help hold it up, but yeah, just a belt runs in a circle. So, all right, I got to take some guards off down here on this side, or the ramps. I think they call these a ramp, so we can get this one off, and then yeah, we'll go get new ones ordered. I got it. There we go. Oh man. It's a little cooler today, but it is still quite humid. So a little bit of physical work and I'm sweating. Okay, so we got those off. This one was a little bit easier, mostly because this centerpiece where there's where they go on was able to pivot because the other belt wasn't holding it up, more or less. And this side here angles in. So those draper belts here, they've got a groove or a guide, I guess, inside of them, right here, that runs in this V on these rollers and on the other side. So you got to get it out around those, past it to get it off. That's kind of the hardest part of getting them off of there. So, all right, we need to order these. They are not the same. That one is longer than this one, so we gotta make sure we get the right part numbers. And I also want to do this center belt. You'll see we've got a big hole here, and there are others that are worse on the bottom. So I'm not 100% sure how that, if there's anything to do to take that off other than take that splice strip apart there or not. So I might look in the book real quick, but we'll zip those nuts off of there, and at least it'll come off easy. I don't know how hard it's going to be to get it back on, but we'll worry about that later, right? So there is a bolt right there that's a tensioner for the center belt, so I loosened that up. I also dropped the pan that goes underneath. We got to get all that crap cleaned off of there. Wheat that sprouted, and I rolled it a little bit to get this where we can get to it a little easier. Here you can see another one of those big holes, which is why we're replacing it. I'm going to go get a socket for my impact, 10 millimeter, and we're going to buzz those off, and then the belt should come off. Check it out. Got it. All right, well, cool. Came apart pretty easy. All right, I'm gonna go get these ordered. I was gonna look, I didn't see a part number on this one. There might be one somewhere, or it may be worn off, but this is what it is. You can see here some of them holes that I was talking about. Here's another one. Those are caused when those fingers break. Those fingers on that feed drum will break, and then before they fall into the drum, they kind of flop around a little bit, and they've punctured that belt. That's what caused that. So some of them have been there for a while. They are starting to get worse and tear lengthwise. So that's why I'm going to replace them. It's not the end of the world having that little hole there. They may even be able to be patched, but she was getting pretty worn anyway. Those holes there were worn through, and since we're replacing everything else, it makes sense to me to do this one too. So what else? Only other thing I've noticed on here that may need some attention is this right here. There's a kind of a bushing plastic that holds these reel arms in. They get worn after a while. These ones don't seem as bad as some of the ones on the other side were, or this one. And you end up with this gap here. And while it's not the end of the world, it makes it loose, and soybeans will get stuck in there, and that's what starts them wrapping on the reel. And so I think I'm going to replace all those bushings as well. They're pretty cheap. This one here is really bad. You can see that big gap in there. So we're gonna fix that. Okay, I just ordered $3,500 worth of parts. So we're kind of stuck waiting for those now. I do have a couple other things I think I might need to get, but I'll have to wait in the morning. I need to call them and ask because I wasn't able to look them up and see exactly what I need. So it has cooled down substantially. Like, I don't know if it's even 60 degrees out anymore. Cool, cloudy. But that's okay. So tomorrow's plan is to start working on seed treatment stuff, I think, at least in the afternoon. May run up to the irrigation field and see if we can't break some pipe apart, or just see what things look like up there. If it's dry enough, we can get some stuff out. But yeah, that's where we're at now. So I don't think we're going to get any more rain tonight. It's probably going to be too wet to do anything in the fields tomorrow as far as spread and cover crop seed goes. So we'll have to wait another day on that. But we are getting closer. So anyway, have a good night, everybody. I'm going home. Hit that like and subscribe buttons for me. And as always, if you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. Thanks. See you later.